Friends, welcome to Battletech Oath of Endosteel, Season 3, Episode 3, 3038, Part 5. Do we have any announcements, other than the fact that we probably won't have another episode this July? This is a pretty big announcement. Oh, we're trying a new recording system today. So if this recording never sees the light of day, it's because my computer has catastrophically collapsed under attempting to use the new recording system. And I will have lost a disk drive forever. Look, Windows was very straightforward with the warning for it, so we'll see how it turns out.
It'll be okay.
Catastrophic failure was on the warning. Wow.
Yeah. We start today's episode with the sound of rattling, and then persistent beeping noise, and as the screen goes from black to a sort of olive drab and continues to focus outwardly, we can see that the camera is in the cockpit of some sort of old, I wouldn't say poorly maintained, but definitely aged aircraft, as someone reaches for the wire microphone and pulls it in front of their face and says, "Mayday, mayday, mayday. This is flight 0102 out of Bulldog. We report contact with Blight Spiker. Map coordinate B7R. Repeat, Bravo 7 Romeo. We will not be able to outrun. Requesting pickup immediately. 5 passengers aboard, 2 crew. Say again. Mayday, mayday, mayday." As the co-pilot is saying this, he and the pilot are struggling to maintain level flight a dozen feet off of the ground, passing over the barren, sandy wastes with, as the camera, pans down, we can see the radar screen has that sweeps and beeps, and every time it sweeps around behind, there's like a dozen, then 2 dozen, then more contacts coming in from behind. The cameraman turns and walks to the back of the cargo plane, where a man and a woman are sitting together on the left-hand side. They are strapped into the only 2 chairs on that side, the only 2 seats with some pretty extensive belting, and 2 men are on the other side, on the right-hand side. Someone is sitting on the floor using a cargo strap to hold himself in place. He's much older than anybody else on this flight. And the whole back of the aircraft is packed with what looks like luggage, personal effects, just everything one would need to move from one location to another permanently. The older man sitting on the ground lets go of the cargo strap, and the man sitting behind him goes, "Dad, what are you doing? Just because you used to fly these things doesn't mean you can just do whatever you want." The old man grabs a ceiling strap to hold himself in place, and then sort of leans down and kneels down in front of the woman and presses their foreheads together. And he says very quietly, "Darlene, you're like a daughter to me. And I'm so glad that you found my son. I need you to take care of him." She nods, and the young man is just like, "Dad, what are you going to do here?" He tries to fumble with the 5-point restraining harness, but it's clear that whatever or whoever strapped him in place made it far too complicated for him to get out quickly. On the other side of the cabin, with the 2 gentlemen who are seated, one of them turns to the other and say, "Can he stand up? Can he do that?" The other one goes, "I don't know. It seems like he is. He seems like he knows what he's doing." And the first one goes, "Should we stand up? Are we all standing up?" The old man moves to the back of the aircraft and pulls down a cargo pallet and hits the green button. The rear of the aircraft opens up, and we can see something like long chitinous plates supported by wings are chasing behind this aircraft. It seems as if they are in sort of like a gliding dive. They're coming in a long string from far above the aircraft and are using the extra momentum from the dive to catch up to it. One of the aircraft's engines is very clearly already on fire. This guy just starts kicking. It's clear that with his feeble nutritional status and age, he will not be quickly kicking, several thousand pounds of cargo out the back of the aircraft as his son continuously is screaming at him to stop, trying to get out of his 5-point restraining harness. But finally, this man, he gets it tilted just enough over the back of the aircraft that it just spreads out, and in the barren wasteland in every direction, the belongings of these 5 people are quickly left behind. There is a noticeable increase in the speed of the aircraft, but the old man stares at what's coming, and it's clear he's unsatisfied as he grabs a road flare out of an emergency kit in the back and stands at the back of the aircraft, lights it, and it's just so metal as he stands there waiting, and he turns back to his son and says, "They hunt by heat. I'm sorry, boy. It's been a good life." At that point, we see an enormous, much larger than this cargo plane, aerospace fighter do like 3 barrel rolls as it tucks itself into escort position and begins just lighting chaff off like crazy. It's an absolute, it's one of those like AC-130 gunship. They're like, hey, let's blow $100,000 of taxpayer money for a 30 seconds light show. That sort of thing. And over the radio, we hear, "Ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the late rescue. My call sign is Ice Pick. If you look out your left window in the next 3 seconds, you'll be able to wave as you see." Oh, now she's already passed. That is my partner, Stiletto. If you'll just sit back, relax, and we'll get you on your way. We are the cavalry. We switch to a enormous 100-ton Thunderbird aircraft. This thing is old even by Inner Sphere standards, but it's still got the LeBeau colors. It's got a little Khan flag painted on the back of this thing. As we hear operations officer authorize faster than speed of sound operations, this thing hits Mach 8, and all of the spikers in the glide path are just absolutely demolished by the Mach barrier being broken. The aircraft continues to travel back along the path of the spikers and finds the nest shooting them out and just full laser engagement. It's like a rainbow for a solid 8 seconds before it does a double barrel roll and peels off. We hear the pilot of this particular aircraft say, "Well, it's not often we get to be the good guys." There's like this moment of like happiness. Everybody is alive. The back door of the aircraft is closing. The old man drops the road flare he no longer needs. But ominously, as the screen is black, we hear the operations officer who's directing these aircraft say, "Sure, we're heroes today. Just don't get used to it, Stiletto." Meanwhile, we cut back into our main city here, where we see Flight 0102 landing in the background as the Duchess is walking with Badger. They're having a very animated conversation. He is somewhat more stoic than her, and she is very teenager, exasperatedly making a point she obviously knows is correct, and doesn't understand why you don't understand. As this is happening, out of nowhere, a white glove hits Badger in the face. It is his cousin. There's total silence between the two of them as they both look for the closest set of boxing gloves back aboard the Seeker. We then cut to the three of you as a crowd begins to gather at the spaceport, even as the Grey Blight's ash slowly floats around them. The two of them appear to be setting up an impromptu boxing match.
God.
Boxing.
match.
Sorry, I know there was a lot there. It took us on a wild ride. It may not have been as coherent as I wanted it to be, but
No. I mean, it was
boxing?
mostly coherent. More just the boxing matches.
Badger and Marianne are boxing each other.
Okay.
She has challenged him in an honorable way.
Okay. And what
We're
about
doing
the
this-
locals? Are they like
Yeah.
around?
The locals
No, they're on the other
don't
one,
seem
man.
to understand what boxing is. Their only form of martial arts appear to involve hand flamethrowers and machetes for killing the Grey Blight, and also like mixed martial arts. And by that, I don't mean like what you would see on TV, mixed martial arts in the way of whatever it takes to kill something that's killing you.
Yeah.
So
Like
yeah.
Scrappy
actual
bar
CQC instead of
Yes.
like sport fighting. That
I wouldn't
makes
even
sense.
say actual CQC, more like
No, it's like
a random
scrappy
jumble
bar
of
fighting.
moves thrown
Yeah.
together in a desperate attempt to stay alive is the local sport.
Yeah, they in other words, they have to fight for survival so much. The idea of like sparring for fun or something like that just doesn't even.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
I kind of lean over to Lachlan and I'm say, should we be doing this on planet?
In the bottom left-hand corner, it says touchdown T plus 73 hours.
Oh. So we're waiting.
Just to indicate you've been here for 3 days.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's up to you guys to decide what to do here. You've done your part now in having your aircraft, your aerospace fighters, spread out a little bit around this particular city and help clear things up. But, you know, you can leave at any time. You've got everything you want.
In that case, I'm not sure that. I'm sorry. I apologize to do this to you, Eddie, after you just tried to open with a line, but I'm not sure that Lachlan's even here. He might just be on the ship. Like,
He's on the Seeker.
like I don't know that like any of this has any interest to him anymore. Now that it's like we've got what we need from this planet, like time to go.
Yeah, I mean, I think if that's the vibe Lachlan is giving, then Anko would be down here just trying to usher people back onto the ship.
Because I know it was a couple weeks ago, so maybe I'm remembering wrong, but if I remember correctly, like at the end of the last set, where we left off, Yusuf had basically convinced Lachlan to like help these people in a one-off fashion.
Yeah.
But we're already done with that.
Correct.
So like Lachlan sees this as like he's fulfilled his end of the bargain. He still doesn't like see these people as worthy of his attention or care, as horrific as that is. And yeah, so he's just, I think, like, all right, get in the car, gang. It's time to go.
Yeah. I think
If you were in the Midwest, you would have just gone, well,
yeah, exactly. Stop the. Oh my god. Yeah, and I think Anko's perspective is that these two, this is like a squabble that can be dealt with elsewhere, not on the planet. But then again, like, I think there's part of her that sees this as an opportunity for them to let out some steam. So debating on whether or not to intervene, maybe. What does Yusuf think of this? Where's Yusuf in this?
I feel like Yusuf is too busy to care, to be honest. Like I think he would actually like fall we probably wouldn't see eye to eye on this, but I think that I'm so busy that you would get your way. Like you have to imagine just like the idea of like having to be in charge of so many extra people so fast is probably pretty taxing for me. And so I probably really don't even have a chance to like help out.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, then I think Anko would approach the two and say, this can be dealt with later. We are ready to depart.
Badger draws himself to attention, but says nothing. Marianne says, now look, we've been on planet for a few days. We've done things your way. All right? Now I appreciate what you did for me, Baroness. All I'm asking for is enough time to sandbag this fool here. It's been a long time coming, and this is the only gravity well we're going to be in for a while. I don't know why she has a southern accent now. It's because everyone on this planet has a southern accent. That's the problem. Now I'm just infecting it.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah, it's odd that every periphery planet.
I mean, Big Spoon already guessed that I was naming and describing people based on StarCraft. Here, yeah, this is a pretty good guess because
the Terran Federation. Yeah, I gotcha.
I think Anko would kind of give a steely glance to Marianne and just say, "Then it looks like you need some zero grav training." But if this is
she interrupts you when you say that. She goes, I know you thought that sounded cute, but if I punch you in zero gravity, we both go opposite directions. You understand that, right?
Yes,
that doesn't work so well for boxing.
My point is, if you need to let off some steam, come find me once we get off the ground.
Baroness, you're interrupting family tradition. Are you rightly sure you want to get involved in this struggle?
No. Feel free to do what you will, but next time, do it on your own time.
Won't be more than 2 or 3 rounds. When
We'll
she
see.
says that, Badger smirks. The two of them, whether you've implied that you're leaving with them or not, the two of them move to start boxing.
No, Anko will allow it to continue, but will basically have like kind of a glaring look as if her time is being wasted.
Very well. Speaking of someone whose time is being wasted, Lachlan McDougall. You've had a lot of time to look over this data that has been captured of the blip. What you've determined is that you're looking at a Trifid cipher. You have 1/3 of a message that will then need to be decoded using a keyword.
How very convenient.
Yeah.
Or I guess inconvenient.
Yeah. Well, your wife kind of knew a little bit about this. She just died before she could tell you.
Yeah, well, whose fault is that, AP?
Yeah,
the dice?
AP.
The dice? What do you want from me?
Sure, AP, sure.
Convenient excuse there.
Yeah. That's
all right. Next time something happens on Pendragon, I'm just going to comment on the YouTube video. Just, convenient excuse, Eric. He just criticals out of nowhere, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, passing the buck is, the last vestige.
Listen, if you want me to write a novel, I could do that, but we're here to use dice to simulate randomness, right?
Okay, I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay,
I know you are.
Yeah, so I guess if I'm done decoding this, I think Lachlan will just send a message to the group with the cliff notes of his findings, right? He's not going to write a scientific research paper to send out, but he's going to just kind of give the basic idea to the sort of core leadership team and just be like, it's time to go. It's Kurt The email reads like somebody who thinks they like sound very neutral, but in writing it just comes off extremely curt, I think.
Oh, that's me, because people are like, oh, you answered my question and you said okay. I thought you were upset, and I'm like, no, okay. I acknowledge receipt of your message. And they're like, why are you being so angry? And I'm like, what? Henley, calm the fuck down. I just said okay, bro.
Wow, that seems very specific, but okay.
Henley and Swargala have both accused me of this repeatedly. I just say okay when I agree with something someone said. I don't need to write a diary. You know, speaking of someone writing a diary, let's jump over to Yusuf. For you, Yusuf, you've gained not 190 crew members, you've gained 191
Friends.
So while you have 190 new employees, which you know,
it's kind of
employing
or whatever.
You know, toddlers and 5-year-olds will be very questionable once you get back to the inner sphere. But who's to check that but Comstar? You know what I mean? Like, of course, things will be different when you get back there. This is all just the pretense you're using.
Well, figuring out how to get them jobs when we get back is going to be the big thing.
The 7th Protector has retired from his position, passing along his marauder to one of his 2 sons, who he will be leaving both behind, to petition to also join you so that they have an adult who understands them. He's already noticed that there is a bit of a culture clash between your 2 groups and thinks someone level-headed and responsible needs to come along and make sure that there are no surprises.
I mean, I think that guy has a good head on his shoulders, but also I'm scared because anybody with that, I'm not sure if this guy is as good as, as just as he thinks he is. So, but I think he's already here, so there's not like a vetting process for it. But I'd like to meet him.
Okay. Well, I mean, you've already met him, right? He was the 7th Protector, no longer.
Right.
He refers to himself now as Raphael.
All right.
He has brought you several reports of concern.
Yeah.
He sits down across from you. Again, he is malnutritioned.
What do we eat in space?
I mean, you up until now, you've been eating pretty good. There's been a lot of prepared meals from a certain patissier that have been rolled out. With 190 new mouths to feed, essentially over doubling the current crew count, those meals are going to disappear very rapidly.
Yeah, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, LeBeau has already informed you that you will almost certainly be switching to rationing.
Yeah, we'll be switching to ration. Well, hang on a second. Let's be very clear. Our officers and essential crew members are not switching to rationing.
You can take that up with LeBeau.
Okay. Sure, no problem. Because none of us nobles will ever ration. That's not right.
I forgot the character you were playing. Are you sure you're not playing Jasper right now? Yusuf?
You're right. I know. Yeah, that's true. Yusuf would. That's what I'm saying. Actually, hold on. Yusuf would absolutely be familiar with rationing, the concept, but I don't think McDougall is. You know what I mean? That actually might be something like, nah. He's like, nah, dude. I'm having second breakfast every day. Like, this is ridiculous.
Well, hold on. First off, we're bringing all these kids, but aren't we also taking like most of the people from this planet?
No.
Oh, no, we're leaving the whole enclave. We're just taking the kids.
Yes.
Okay, so we can't take their...
You do not have... If you had 100 times the size of fleet you have, you still wouldn't have enough capacity to bring all the people on this planet.
Do we have the ability to have them give us supplies?
They are willing to give you as much hydrogen as you can carry. If you mean food, they are already starving.
Okay, so no. I think that...
we can start by searching for a source of food.
Honestly, I think as long as we're not like in an emergency state, I think Lachlan himself would probably be fine rationing, but he's not going to let the Duchess do that. The Duchess is going to get full meals.
Okay.
5
And
square meals a
think,
day.
I think he makes a like huge deal about how it's like such a big sacrifice that he's making, like, you know, for the people and for his, you know, his crew.
I assume
while,
you're
like,
explaining this to an ensign somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. You know, while like making sure that the Duchess stays in her nice, you know, sheltered ivory tower.
Mm-hmm. Well, Yusuf, this gentleman has brought to you concerns. These children, the only game that they know is a altered version of chess with the following pieces. A pawn is called a militiaman, and then there is pipe layer, digger, egghead.
The bishop
is the bishop is the egghead.
Yeah, I got you. I know where you're going. Okay.
Then protector and general.
Okay.
You got to protect the general at all times. Capture the enemy general.
Yeah. Makes sense. It's
considered good luck to play as black and bad luck to play as white because white is associated with the gray blade.
So their version black goes first?
No, white still goes first.
Wow. That's cultural. Okay. Okay. Mentality. Yeah. Okay.
Well, just remember, they don't have an encyclopedia of chess moves, right? They're basically inventing new maneuvers every few years. They have encountered that the crew of the Seeker have introduced them to both the idea of board games and card games. And this is rapidly spreading through the enclave of children they're in a state where they're moving things onto the ship and getting their new bunking process down. They're excited to only have to share a bunk with one person, and then do like switch off, alternating hours.
Yeah.
That's a concern. It's not, it's not a huge concern. He's just going to keep an eye on it if you hire Raphael. The bigger problem is that several of the aerospace pilots have been selling hollow units and the entire collected works of entertainment that the whole fleet has, unlicensed, right? Like they don't have permission to resell all of the Solaris gladiator fights and the collected works of all mankind.
Why is Raphael bringing this up to me?
Raphael's
does he see this as a moral problem?
He sees it as a problem because your pilot, he says your pilots, but it's actually Anko Khan's pilots.
I know, that's fine.
Are taking advantage of the local populace, right? They are charging unbelievable amounts.
What are they charging?
They are swapping diamonds for hollow units and knowledge. Diamonds are almost worthless to this society. It has almost no purpose for them. But for you, not only are they diamonds, they're also memory units for some Battletech components.
Okay, so all right, so here's where Yusuf. This is where Yusuf comes in.
Yeah.
I promised. I tell Raphael I'll handle it. I'm not going to, but like this is not what I'm saying to Raphael.
I'm not going to.
No. I am going to, but I'm not going to approach it in the way of the moral turpitude of the people. I'm going to go talk to Anko's pilots and Anko about making sure they get a square deal instead of ripping them off.
Okay. What would you consider a square deal to be? I mean, these are people who they haven't had visitors for a decade. They have no real local media beyond like storytelling and making shit up. Imagine suddenly having Netflix.
I know, but hold on. So what I completely understand I completely understand the idea of how awesome it would be to have this swath of media, like, just this like pun intended torrent of media sent your way. But the thing that I just kind of staggered for a second in my brain about is that I was going to say, like, do you think Jasper would sell food to starving people? But then again, he totally,
he does.
You know what I mean?
That's what Jasper does.
He literally made doing so.
That's why I can't even use this as an example. Like, oh yeah, wait, no, this is so no, I think this would be really fun. Yeah, no, I think it would be really fun to bring this up to. I would probably go to Onko because it's like Onko stuff, and I wouldn't.
You head outside of the Seeker, where you are watching Badger methodically take hit after hit from Marianne. He appears to be highly defensive and is waiting for her to wear out as she lashes out in
crab strats
in a fury. A very disappointed, glaring Anko Khan awaits you on this tarmac out here, as are hundreds of people. They're not exactly betting, but they are shouting who they're supporting. Very loudly. It's just a lot of chants of like the Badger!
Yeah, the kind of thing, like that kind of stuff, right? Going on. Yeah. But
they call her the Moon Cutter.
The Moon Cutter.
Yes, Marianne.
Yeah. That's because she has a signature
of that's her, yeah, no, that's the symbol on her Battlemech, her personal sigilry.
Moon Cutter.
Just like his is a Badger.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
They don't know these people's names. They don't know their call signs. They just know what's painted on their Lachlan's. Oh, sorry, McDougal's.
Yeah.
God, I forgot we called them McDougal.
Yeah. This is 100% going to come up in the Battletech episode that will be set in 20 years on this planet.
Oh my God. You're welcome, everyone playing Battletech.
You think I got a goddamn McDougal out here?
So I'm gonna, so I'm always gonna look to Anko. I'm kind of grimacing watching Badger just like wary blow by blow, and like, ooh, is he winning?
He's playing the long game.
Oh. Playing some kind of game. as my judgment of, I'm not sure this is a winning strategy. But yeah.
I mean, does it look like he's like at least deflecting most of the damage and holding his own?
I mean, look, you guys spend a lot of time in space. That means deterioration of core physical abilities. No matter how Battletech tries to play it off, right? There aren't enough grav decks to keep everybody in the best of shape. That said, she's swinging wildly, and he's coolly, methodically taking the blows. He's gonna hurt tomorrow. It's gonna be bad, and there's gonna be bruising, but his guard is not dropping.
Yeah. So I think my statement stands, and I just barely move like from watching the two fight, and just kind of glance over. How are things going on your end?
Kind of wish I was here to watch the fight, but I actually need to talk to you about something. About your pilots.
Oh? What is it they're doing?
These kids are loving the... Ooh, keep your guard up, Badger! You know, your pilots have been selling off all of the holo vids to our kids. They've been selling them. Apparently, I've been hearing accounts of.
No, just to be clear, they're not
free
selling
stuff
them. They're not selling it to the kids. They're selling it to the residents of the planet.
Oh, okay. They've been selling it to residents. Apparently, for like diamonds and everything they have.
Everyone has different treasures.
Yeah.
What is it that upsets you?
Just kind of sits uncomfortable with me. That we would be saving them while at the same time robbing them blind.
Well, if they have no value in the diamonds, then it's supply and demand.
Right.
But maybe we can offer a little bit more to them if it makes you feel uncomfortable. That said, you do have a lot of mouths to feed. We may need those diamonds later.
You satisfied with that, Yusuf?
See my face?
Yeah. Okay.
My Robert De Niro Yeah, not bad. Yeah, that's pretty good. You know, I was not expecting that.
As
Yeah.
the next
Anko,
round,
you're always full of surprises, and I'm satisfied. Yeah.
as the next round starts, Badger takes 3 hits and then begins launching the signature counterattack of the namesake Badger. It's like a full body just. He, like her, starts wildly swinging, except he's still got the energy to carry it out, and she doesn't.
And is she able to withstand any? Like,
She
put up her
is.
guard
I
at
mean,
all?
this isn't going to be the end of this particular round,
Okay.
right? But it's clear that she is a little dazed by the end of this, and to anyone with a measured eye, it's almost certainly going to be. If Badger does this again, it's going to be his win for sure next round. When he's back in his corner, the Duchess is acting as his, what's it called, cut man or whatever.
Yeah. Hang on, I gotta get the Rocky theme play.
Oh my god.
Okay. Yeah.
And he's saying loudly, "Look at these people. This is what a failure of leadership looks like. I'm not telling you you don't have to listen to him. He might not even be wrong, but you need to be thinking for yourself. You need to be drawing valid, ethical, moral conclusions. You can't just go off of what somebody else says because they said it. He answers to you, not the other way around." And she's like, "What does this have to do with the boxing match?" And he's like, "This is the only way I can get you to pay attention." As he bangs his gloves and then gets back into the match.
Yeah, I think there's like a moment of a smirk on Anko's face as Badger says this, almost thinking that like this is exactly the kind of conversation that we want to have happen. One, that they're talking and that they're gelling in some way. Oh, you're muted somehow.
Your mic's off.
What? Okay. Momentary pause for technical difficulties. Oh,
Total audio failure. Sensors offline.
powering down. Restarting. Please wait. Boop boop. Boop boop.
Communications offline.
Oh.
Poor AP. You can just edit this out.
I'm not going to, though. I won't. It's back, right?
Yeah, you're back.
You're back.
My voice mod software has been failing randomly as of late. It's deeply upsetting.
No.
All right, where were we? Oh, yeah, the match is ending unless you guys want to intervene in any way.
No.
And Badger is using crude metaphors to try to challenge Lachlan's
It's not
authority.
even a metaphor.
It's very direct. Yeah.
I mean, when he's not making a metaphor, he's gesturing to the starving, malnutritioned people all around the Duchess, who she's been studiously kept away from, and saying that this is what failure of leadership looks like. Literally. There's no metaphor. It's literal, direct.
No, the metaphor is towards Lachlan.
Of what? There's no Listen, you're reading too much into it. There's no metaphors. Badger's a direct fellow.
Fine. Maybe metaphor is the wrong word, but there's clear analogy being drawn.
Sure. Marianne goes down and stays down for the count. Badger helps her back up, but she kind of eschews that, moves away from it, doesn't want his help. It's clear she's going to have a shiner, and she's got a bit of a cut over her eye. But she has not made any friends among the fleet, and so there's no one to act as her cut man, as her bandager. So she just kind of stumbles back to the Seeker.
No, actually, Anko would intervene
Oh, okay.
and help her back.
Okay. All right.
And kind of play mother a little bit, saying,
You are not
Don't
that
worry.
much older than this woman.
"Yeah, I know."
Okay.
But like, it's kind of like that mother, like she is a mother, but like that.
Mhm. Okay.
Well, Anko is a mother, so
I
she
know.
has the tendency, right, to kind of fall into, "Don't worry, you'll get back up. We'll fight again. As I said, when we get off planet, come see me."
Okay. Is everyone secure aboard this ship, ready to leave this particular world?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Anko would.
It's rough for you, Yusuf, at the landing ramps, as 190 families
Oh yeah.
are saying
No.
goodbye. A lot of women holding a stoic face, a lot of fathers breaking down and crying, kissing their children goodbye one last time and just going, "Go! You have to go! There's a better life for you!"
White
Every
fanging,
American
yeah.
apocalypse movie ever.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it shouldn't be a funny moment, but I just want deep impact, and that literally happens where the dad is just like, "You go! You have to go!" And the mom's just like, "She's right, you have to go." And I was just like, wow, okay, well, or all of you could go. Like, you could stop standing still and you could just leave. Yep,
It's
deep
true,
impact, the pinnacle of cinema, of course. But no,
Based on a true story.
no, it's not. It's not even, I'm making it a joke, but it's not a joke here. People are devastated to know that they will literally never see their children again.
Of course.
And for some of them, they may not have even agreed with this decision. It was decided for them by the protectors.
That's even worse.
It's not great, but you know, the crewmen on board are congenial. They're trying not to threaten people with suppressed SMGs, but in several cases they need to physically separate parents from children, which is deeply unpleasant and not what they're trained to do, and not what they want to do. On the other hand, this egg is going up, so you know, there's a lot of rough pirates just going, "Sir, this thing's going up in the sky, and either you're going up with it on the outside or you're staying here. One of the two. I need you to back up."
I will. Not really much you can do in this moment. Just let them do their jobs. But I afterwards, I definitely want to like help out the guards for doing everything they're doing. It does seem particularly unfair.
Thank you for
to
your
them.
service.
Yeah, I'll get an F-18 to fly over their house or whatever.
Oh
we can
my
help.
god.
I'm sure that's what they need,
so.
right? So yeah, whatever. No, I'd probably would make sure that they get like an extra thing of rations or whatever. And
Right before the
counseling. Nah, let's just give them an extra chocolate milk.
you're giving them an extra set of rations right before rationing takes effect, right? They get one big meal before it goes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know. Yeah, whatever I can do to help
Sure.
them out. That's what I would do in my power.
All right. The Seeker does rise into the air. These children have never been on a dropship before, rising under several forces of gravity. It's deeply unpleasant for many of them, but they do all live through it, as does everyone else, as you Elton John Rocket Man away from the planet.
Yeah.
Several days later, Yusuf, when Raphael enters into your office with a murderous look in his eye.
All right, Raphael, calm down.
Where is the one known as Uncle Khan?
You got to calm down.
She is a woman who is not as good as her word. She lied to us, and that is unforgivable.
Let's. There's a lot of things that are unforgivable, but hang on. Let's talk this out.
All right.
What happened?
His fists tighten. He says,
"Tell me what happened."
I was speaking with several of the crew members, and they indicated that your fleet is not, in fact, a group of pirate hunters, but in fact, pirates themselves. And she claimed to have taken this fleet by killing its former leader. He is, in fact, still running the ship that we are about to dock to. The infamous pirate brothers, the LeBeaus. This is where you bring the children to? So I ask you again, where is Anko Khan, who is not as good as her word?
Raphael, it's more complicated than that, than giving one's word.
You have treated me honorably, so I will allow you to explain. Uncomplicate it for me.
Is this just like out in the open in the ship? Like how big is
No,
you
this is my
tell
office,
me, man.
This is,
You
I think
tell me.
I think
How
he probably
big
would
is
have came
the
to me in
secret?
my
It's
orders.
listen, his volume can definitely be heard outside of the office for sure.
Yeah.
Any hallway or adjacent rooms nearby can hear this.
Lachlan, I would love if you were in this scene and told this guy to just like be like just Tywin Lannister this dude. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I feel like this is a great scene for that if you're into it.
Okay, I think so. Maybe
Quick question,
it's happening
though.
in your office, and there's just like a knock on your door.
All right. Yeah, but hold on. What's Eddie?
I was just gonna ask a quick question. Like, who is this Raphael character? I don't remember.
He's the 7th protector.
Okay, and
He's
joined.
the one that pushed to originally have all of the children in his care join this fleet.
Yeah.
And in doing so, it kicked off a series of events that ended with all of the children joining the fleet.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the cultural attaché of the.
But then how is he on the ship?
He left his position as 7th protector to one of his children and petitioned to join so that the kids would have a familiar authority figure who could translate cultural concepts for them, since they're children. And if you walk up to them and go, it's bedtime now, they're going to go, what's bedtime?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so there's a knock on the door.
Raphael sidesteps slightly and looks to you, Yusuf, as if he should open it or not. Lachlan, when the door opens, you see an emaciated man. You've seen him before. He looks like he's wild with rage right now. Fists clenching after he lets go of the door, but he allows you to step in past him. Now, normally I would describe these scenes as everyone floating around, but because you're on your way to the jump point, you all are under one gravity of pressure. So,
Sure.
somebody out there is going to say, I said the word pressure, and that was not. You're under one gravity of.
One atmosphere, not one atmosphere of pressure. You meant,
One
I know, we know what you meant.
force,
yeah.
Oh, you're definitely under several atmospheres of pressure, but you're also under gravity.
Lachlan sees this guy.
You inferred enough of the context, Sam, for sure. Like, let's just assume that you.
Lachlan arrived here because he heard him shouting for Anko.
Yeah. Right.
And he will say, Raphael, is it?
Yes.
Heard you had some concerns about the leadership aboard my vessel.
I have concerns about liars.
You've decided to come with us back to civilization. I'm guessing that's why you're here.
Someone has to be an advocate for the children.
Excellent. Then it's time for blunt honesty. If Anko chooses to speak lies to you with every word out of her mouth, it is within her right. If she decides you are no longer useful and sends you out the airlock, it's within her right. You have joined our expedition. I appreciate your help as long as it is useful. Do not become a problem for me. There's nobody out there who is going to mourn you. Nobody who is out here who is going to notice you gone. Fall in line, Raphael. And then he's just going to leave.
Raphael also leaves. This is a paradigm shift he didn't think he was about to encounter.
For sure.
I mean, this is the horrible dark side behind Lachlan's beliefs, and like the more he goes into them, the worse it gets. It's like he does not see this person as a human being on the same level of Anko. He does not. Regardless of what Anko does to him, he is not allowed to speak and raise his voice about demanding to talk to her or how she's lost honor because she lied to him. Like, no, it's not how it works.
Exactly. Only peers can judge Anko. This is correct. You're not. You're right. You're nothing. Yeah.
Correct.
Question.
And it's a horrific worldview.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know, but that is the noble world
that we're in. Yeah.
And ultimately, it can and will be Lachlan's undoing, and that's what's happening with Badger right now.
Yeah.
Question for you, AP. What is the facial expression of Raphael as he leaves? Like, what's the general
unmasked rage?
I want to help him.
Disappointed rage.
For sure. But like, yeah, because he's never seen a world where that's so two-faced before.
Well, on the other hand, he's also one of the pinnacle of like several dozen Marauder pilots on the planet, right? Like he's used to being the one in charge.
Yeah.
And you're now telling him he's so low he can't even talk to someone who's not even at the top.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. And
also, this is probably like the first time
how
things are done on Safai. It's just not how things are done.
And
you're not on Safai anymore. You're not even Safai's gravity well anymore.
Yeah, Lachlan was taking a real step back on the planet and kind of just letting Anko and Yusuf handle things. And so it's like this guy probably didn't quite realize just how like down on them Lachlan was looking the whole time. And like the reason why Lachlan wasn't involved had nothing to do with authority. It was just that he doesn't care about those people, so he was going to let the people who did care deal with it. It's awful, but it is what it is.
We'll see what happens with that.
Any other scenes before you prepare to leave system?
I think maybe this would be like happening as we're leaving system, but Lachlan does want to talk to the Duchess at some point.
Okay, let's do that before we do the discussion on where you're going from here.
Okay.
All right, you want to have a talk with the Duchess?
Yes. Oh, where? Also, I don't know that we need a full scene for this, but Lachlan would give Anko a heads up to keep an eye on Raphael and that this guy is going to be a problem. Okay. But I don't think we need a scene. Right. Okay, so I think maybe... I think Lachlan would invite her to like during the time that normally she would be studying with her tutor, like in school. Lachlan will like invite her to study with him for the afternoon.
Okay.
It's very much like an invite. It's not like a summons, but at the same time, it is still you come to me. So it's like a little bit weird in that way.
She arrives wearing the crew jumpsuit of the Seeker with a skirt over it that does absolutely nothing, right? If you're close to preparing to jump, you're in zero gravity again, so the skirt is just floating around. But she's just, wearing it.
Got it. Lachlan will just kind of raise an eyebrow at the style choice, but not say anything. He welcomes her and asks her if, gestures for her to take a seat if she wants, asks if she wants any tea or coffee, whatever. He's being a very good host at first, and then he'll sit down across from her once he makes sure she has what she wants. And he'll say, so, Duchess, been away from Whittington some time now. Tell me, what have you learned?
Keep your guard up.
A valuable lesson.
Let your enemies wear themselves out. Perhaps you'd like to know more about the aftermath of the Amara Civil Wars. That was on today's sociology lectures. Sorry, social studies lectures. Perhaps
Lachlan
some linear algebra?
Yeah, no, Lachlan will shake his head. He says, that's not what I meant. And I'm pretty sure you realize I didn't bring you out here to the middle of nowhere to continue studying your books, though that's an important lesson. You could have done that on Whittington. This was
Fine.
the first planet we've been on.
You want to know what I've learned on our trip out here? Forget the planet. Authority works differently when you don't have a lifeline. There is no backup plan out here. No one's going to come help us if we get into trouble. The way that the captains, commanders, and admirals answer to each other and to you, and to some extent to Anko, is quite different than how we'd be doing it if we were back in the inner sphere.
It's an important lesson to learn, Duchess, especially for someone like you. Do you know why?
She doesn't answer in the way that someone who thinks that they know the answer, but they want to make sure that they're right by letting you answer.
Yeah, Lachlan, he does the thing where he like stands up and like, does like the little like walk around so that, maybe he's like facing
Cup
a
of
bookshelf
coffee in his
instead.
hand.
Yeah, exactly.
Middle distance gaze momentarily as he sips before answering.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll say,
In there.
even on Whittington, Duchess, when you sit at the top of the pyramid, any lifeline you think you have is an illusion. We serve the Federated Suns, and the Federated Sun serves us back. But when Draconis Combine landed on the planet, we had to defend ourselves. If and when they land again, you may have to lead us without such a lifeline. It's the burden of leadership.
She takes a noisy slurp of her tea as you say that.
You can see what happens when folks lose touch with their history, when things begin to fall apart on a planet. May not have been any individual's fault. It may have been a result of things that couldn't be controlled. But at the end of the day, no one cares for the excuses or the reasons, though they might be good. All they really want from their leaders is success. Simply have to find a way to show them that and hide anything that wouldn't be perceived in the way we wish. Because no one's infallible. Not you, not me, not any of us. We nobles are better, more suited to ruling, but that doesn't mean that there won't be mistakes. It's all about making sure that those mistakes, those lack of lifelines, don't ruin you.
Okay. She leaves her tea on the desk as she stands up and says, I don't agree. I think what people need from their noble leadership is compassion and understanding enough so that if something happens, it isn't the end of them. What they need from us is a lifeline. We are better than
Compassion
them.
and
God put us in this position so that we could help them.
compassion and understanding will go a long way, but compassion and understanding without strength will only be swept away.
I think you and I have different
Ooh.
definitions of strength.
Perhaps. Or perhaps they're more similar than you realize.
There is a strength in choosing not to fight, and there is a strength in choosing to resist the way things are.
Certainly. As you said before, one must be careful in the battles they pick, patient. But that doesn't mean that when they need to be fought, it isn't crucial to have the strength to fight them. I know that you don't see me as a compassionate man, Duchess. But what you have to understand is that the choices I make, even when they seem harsh, they are compassion, because they are the hard choices that are allowing our people to move forward and to flourish. There's no greater compassion than being willing to make the hard decisions that lead to benefits in the long term. I know you've been spending quite a bit of time with Sir Davies.
Okay, she gives you an exact.
Audio?
Uh-oh.
Your mic came out. It's the exact same.
Oh, man, just as you went
Huge
off.
bummer. That's
So unfortunate.
All right, how about now? When you say Davies, she sighs and says, "Ah, that's what this is about."
No. I've been meaning to have this conversation with you for quite some time. I believe it's important to evaluate what we learn when we're on these trips. I wasn't lying when I said I brought you out here to broaden your horizons. That includes talking to people like Sir Philip Davies.
He has a different way of looking at things.
A good leader has a broad understanding of various ways to look at the world. You have to talk to a lot of people in order to get your own. But just remember, Duchess, he has a different way of thinking of things. I have a different way of thinking of things. Anko has a different way of thinking of things. The trap is in following someone else's way of thinking of things instead of thinking for yourself.
She looks troubled when you say that. It's like she didn't expect you to say that.
He'll say, I invite you to stay here and to study with me if you wish. I'm planning on doing some historical study of my own. You're welcome to join me. But that was all I really had to say. I just was curious how you've been finding our voyage so far. I'm glad we had this talk.
She looks troubled and puzzled and says, No, I'd like to do some independent study.
Good. Let me know what you learn. I'm always interested to hear what folks find, especially intelligent folks like yourself, Duchess.
Flattery will get you nowhere, she says as she leaves. She does, however, order someone on the ship to print her out several books, right? Because tablets aren't a thing in Battletech yet.
Oh, right. Yeah, you don't
yeah.
have e-readers.
Yeah,
right.
no e-readers. She orders someone to print her out something from Hobbes, Confucius, and Machiavelli. She wants treaties on political authority. Perfect to spend her independent study time.
Yeah, I mean that's also very much Lachlan's bailiwick. So I imagine he might have some like text and stuff already, like that she doesn't have to wait to like get them printed or whatever, because they're just like books he has.
He's got a Van Cloudswitz and each on his
I mean, remember, like, I don't know if you remember this because it's been so long since it's been relevant, but Lachlan, when we started the game, Lachlan wasn't really a very shrewd political operator himself. He was just a big old policy wonk because he went to school for political science.
Now he has become that which he hated.
Oh, yeah.
He's lived long enough to see himself become the villain.
Yeah, I think Lachlan is like similarly. He's like I talked a little bit about how he's been kind of like becoming more and more obsessed with like old Earth military history, and like I think what it really is like he is. I imagine, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Battletech universe, they have like things that Kerensky is supposed to have said, right?
Yes.
Do they have the conversations like between him and his generals or whatever? Yep. So I think what Lachlan's been doing, and like the main focus of his study right now, has been like tracking down like historical or like cultural Earth references that like Kerensky and his generals seem to think were important, and then trying to like find those original texts. So for example, if like you know, these guys, like someone is like talking about, like, you know, it'll be as big of a defeat as the Romans at Cannae. And it's just like, oh shit, clearly they thought this was important. Like what happened there? And that's like how he's trying to like figure out what text to look into, or like, you know, if
have
like
you heard
there's
of
like
display Julius Caesar.
Yeah, exactly.
All of you receive a sort of informal, it's not really a summons, it's like a informal survey from Admiral LeBeau asking for your input about where you would like to take the fleet next. He believes that there is a world nearby on a jump path that you could head to and perhaps get fresh water and also the local wildlife. The wildlife is somewhat mega fauna-ish and hostile, so probably Battlemechs and aerospace fighters would be needed in order to hunt, but it would provide sufficient food for a bit and hopefully the local mega flora. Unfortunately, it is a theoretical failed terraforming world. Like whatever settlement colony got this far out into the deep periphery tried to make it work to be Earth-like, and well, no one ever heard from them again. So it's presumed that they're all dead.
So similar to the last planet we were on, but
so the other option is to not get fresh food and water and continue to push on to your next location.
How desperate is our food and water situation?
I mean, you're using it at twice the rate you were before, but you built quite a bit of lead time, so you could be okay if you just ignored it.
Yeah, and like what's our runway in terms of supplies?
I mean, you had 2 years worth of supplies. Now you have, you know, several months less than that, and your rate of consumption will now double from here.
Mm-hmm. I am inclined, I don't know about you guys, but I think me, the player, and probably Lachlan as well, would be inclined to just take LeBeau's opinion on this. I mean, he's the guy who knows the most about doing
Deep
long
space
haul.
baron.
Long
Yeah.
haul, yeah. If he's saying, "Hey, it's time to stop for food and water," I don't think Lachlan's going to be like, "No."
I mean, considering the situation that we found him in,
This is
I think he's playing a little bit more conservatively, which I think is maybe the smart play.
No, LeBeau is actually more interested in pressing quickly to finish this little trip up as much as possible.
Oh,
okay.
If LeBeau thinks we should,
He thought that you all, as nobles who are on rations, would want to top up the food and water supply, but he doesn't feel that it's necessary. It doesn't feel like it's at a critical position.
I see.
And you can always come back and try to do it later.
Okay. I mean, that said,
You could always encounter, a unexpected planet or a jump ship who you could trade with. All these, there are many random events and opportunities in the periphery. You never really know what's going to happen. But you losing food, almost, I mean, there's no, unless there's an explosion and your food supply gets jettisoned for some reason, in which case you have many more problems than food. Right. This is not a currently critical. He just offered it because it seemed like you guys get a little peckish.
I think that Lachlan would just advocate to do whatever LeBeau thinks is best.
Okay.
One of the very few positive personality traits that Lachlan has is that when he hires people he trusts, he then trusts them.
I think there's certainly a moment of whether or not it's worth our time to stop before we make a longer journey. Dependent, like that's kind of the question that Anka would have is how long is the next length of journey, and do we have supplies until we?
It's another 3 months until you reach the planet. Until you reach the system Karkri.
Okay.
You have about slightly less than a year's worth of supplies.
And we know roughly what's in that system, or no?
It's supposed to be uninhabited.
Could there be food and water there? Is really what I'm thinking.
He says there could be food and water anywhere. Fairness. We never really know what we're going to get to until we have accurate charts. Karkri is named, but I have never been there personally. Someone may have visited it.
If you think it is worth our time to stop or to not stop, I'll leave it to you.
Would you prefer steak dinners or MREs?
We're at the beginning of our journey. I would almost say that we might want to keep morale up. What say the rest of you?
Well, Yusuf, you're not that you have an equal rank between these two, but Lachlan is the overall fleet commander, but it is literally Anko's ship. But what do you want to weigh in on this problem as?
We should probably get food. If they're saying we need to go get it right now, I defer to them. Even if it adds, Lord knows how many more days Blake knows how many more days to our trip.
Yes, Blake does know how many more days. I'm so glad you said that.
Yeah, Lachlan's not gonna fight over this. If that's what you guys think, he's fine with it.
Yeah, we're in space Oregon Trail.
Yeah, totally.
You can't bring that much buffalo back.
Oh no, we've got dysentery. Uncle Bob's got dysentery.
As the fleet goes into its jump into this unnamed, theoretically uninhabited system, we cut to someone hanging upside down from the ceiling as a Japanese man nearby is taking a piece of bamboo and sharpening the end of it into a needle and dipping it into an ink pot.
So there I was, hanging upside down. Who knows how many days it had been since I'd been awake last. It was me, Private Eye, Duke Dick. That's right, I wasn't dead after the last incident. Looking around, I established myself in some sort of Yakuza hideout, and it seemed as if one of their torturous tattooers was here. What plans did he have for me? Was he going to stick those needles underneath my fingernails? I knew I could resist torture for some time, but they say no man's strong enough.
And as he's saying this, a door opens, and a man wearing he's wearing like a fedora and like a nice gray business suit, but like loose cut, not tight, like one you'd be comfortable in, with a maroon dress shirt and a black tie. He looks much older than the tattoo artist, who he waves out of the room, and he pulls this like a folding metal chair and sits before Duke Dick, who is of course completely naked and just randomly twirling like one way and then twirling the other way. Mr. Dick, I am Sabu. Is not a name, it is a title. That's all you need to know for now. The young gentleman that you killed was a member of the Yakuza. This is a problem, but it is a bigger problem for me. You see, I had stationed that young man there so that he would be killed by someone. That is my nephew. Unfortunately, my nephew likes the cocaine and the women a little bit too much to do his duties, so I needed someone on the street to be stupid enough to kill him. Unfortunately, it was a foreigner like you, a foreigner who could be of some use to me. You are looking for information on this Confederate dropship, yes? And Duke Dick is, he snaps out of his personal monologue while this is all happening and shakes his head. But of course, he's upside down, so it's more like a upside down head shake. If you were a member of the Yakuza, particularly of my syndicate, I would be in a position to offer you more information. Unfortunately, your membership is mandatory rather than voluntary. And to start with, we're going to have to make sure that you look the part. I prefer the traditional way. Some say it causes an immense amount of pain, but you did kill my nephew. As he says this, he takes his hat off and sets it on a table nearby and crosses his legs as two tattooers come in from his snap and finish sharpening up their bamboo needles. The screen goes black as we hear someone go, "Ah!" Wilhelm scream. That Wilhelm scream fades off into the scream of an aerospace fighter passing through space as your fleet jumps into existence, and there is a squadron of aerospace fighters bowing down on your position, and something like 6 jump ships and 24 drop ships out here. One of the jump ships has like it's basically unfolded itself like an accordion into a space station, essentially. On almost all of the jump ships and drop ships, you see the symbol of Comstar, the sword of Comstar, the sword of truth, the light of truth. But on the aerospace fighters coming towards you, you see a flaming broadsword that is stabbing into some sort of V-shaped object. There isn't nearly enough time to form a fleet response to this. LeBeau immediately is just like, okay, we surrender. Like, we're at rest here. Lachlan, you receive a message about 5 minutes later. Everything is absolute chaos, just to be clear. Like, all of you are like, what the fuck is going on? And you can hear a voice over the radio that's just like, do not turn on your sensors. Do not send any communications unless you have been authorized. Failure to comply with these instructions will result in the destruction of your vessel.
If we just jump into a Comstar nest.
So, Lachlan,
What it
you've
feels
received
like.
a personal invitation from Presenter Lucine.
Okay. What kind of invitation?
To talk to her point to point over a secure laser communication from your vessel to her vessel.
I will take the call.
Okay. You hear someone say, "Hold for the presenter, please." This is Presenter Lucine Bluebell. Is this Mr. Lachlan McDougal?
Wait, am I a baron or a count now? I can't remember.
You are a count.
Count now, right? Yeah, he'll say, "This is Count Lachlan McDougal." Yes.
Well, we aren't in the Federated Sons. I'm not required to address you as such, Mr. McDougal.
No one's required to address me anyway. There are simply certain formalities that polite society follows.
Understood. Yes. Let's get to the core business. Is there a Admiral Philip LeBeau aboard your ship?
I guess Lachlan will. We gave him we legalized his whole deal, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Then Lachlan will just say, he is in the service of the Baroness Anko Khan, one of our sponsors of this current voyage.
The Baroness authorizes his actions?
The Baroness has taken him under her wing I guess he'll just give the date, right? Like, he knows when he entered her service, right?
I apologize, Mr. McDougal. We will be interdicting your fleet while we hold a military tribunal. We will be trying Anko Khan and Philip LeBeau for piracy, as will all of the crew members of any ship that has flown under a pirate flag.
Anko Khan nor myself have flown under a pirate flag.
You have just told me yourself that Anko Khan has authorized his actions, and we have information as early as 6 months ago that he was continuing pirate operations in the periphery. I have full authority to conduct a tribunal here.
Okay, so taking a step outside, how though?
LeBeau actually has continued pirate operations.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I'm just unclear on can't. I guess it's a sovereignty confusion, right? The
inner sphere's authority only applies in the inner sphere. Right? She's just going to execute a trial out here underneath naval law as a captain.
But whose naval law?
Comstar's naval law.
So it's Comstar's jurisdiction.
Yes.
But is it basically, does Comstar have authority here only insofar as they have the biggest gun, or is there actually some kind of framework that we're
It's definitely by gun.
So okay, so it's not like there's some kind of extradition or something, and
Nope.
the Fed Sons is going to make us hand them over. It's just they have guns and they have them pointed at us.
It kind of sounds like maybe. Well, I'll leave that for later because we're kind of at the end here. But
yeah. Okay, so Jim, I guess as a parting shot, I think Lachlan will say, so it's to be a drumhead trial then.
That's it. That's the last bit in the episode.
Perfect.
I like it. We'll have to see if we can get Kane on.
Oh man. 2 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, I think, right?
All right, listen. We might not want to bank on that, but
that's fair.
Let's look at the schedule.
I believe. Yeah, I mean, we can talk about this on
24th.
offline. No one wants to hear us talking about that.
I got July 24th. Is everybody
think-
good?
I believe I am good for the 24th.
Yeah, I'm in.
I believe I am as well. I don't know what's going on that time. Yeah, I should be okay.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
I'm just gonna message Kane real quick, see if he can hop on. If not, I'll have to just get how he would respond to this situation. Any closing thoughts about today?
Just good stuff. I love playing.
Anko once again, or rather, I guess it's like the Sepaka family getting hit with the consequences of their actions.
Yeah.
Taking.
Fuck. What's it like? Actions having consequences. Wow.
I know, it's wild. No, I mean, I guess with the fleet's goal, like we were, if I remember correctly, we didn't necessarily. I mean, it's been so long. I don't remember exactly the conversation we had.
Word for word, Kane has told me he has continued to commit acts of piracy outside of the Federated Sons because his specific wording was that he would work for you inside the authority of the Fed Sons.
What a fucking scumbag. That's hilarious.
I was like, there's no... first off, this is news to me. And number two, there's no way someone isn't going to come get you now.
Oh, man.
For the folks at home who are like, when did Comstar get this big fleet? Welcome to Comstar's Explorator Fleet East. Comstar Explorator. Making sure that no one knows what we're doing out here.
Oh, man.
I'm very confused as to like Comstar's role in this world. So like out of curiosity, if Comstar just executes Fed Sons nobles, and obviously in this case they could like just kill us all and no one would ever really know.
Yeah.
But like in theory, if someone did know, why would the Fed Sons ever like allow Comstar to like try and kill their people without like fight a war about it?
Comstar could literally just turn off all the communications, which they actually did during the last war, and it was so effective it almost collapsed the entire economy.
I guess I just don't really understand how Comstar exists and sovereign states exist at the same time, because that seems to be like why is
the people who wrote Battletech did not consider these questions, I believe, when they...
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'm just like, it feels to me like there's like
they wrote it in their garage
like
based off of anime that they had watched.
No, if there is I mean, you're right. I mean, hierarchically speaking, it is because Comstar is above the rest of them, and everyone kind of recognizes that.
For itself a third-party neutral status as both the manager of the economy and the communications network. And any attack on them activates all 4 other nations to counterattack.
Right,
think of it this way as well.
Hold on. But do you see how what you just said, like if they are given stewardship with economy and communications, and now they are extending themselves into judicial and military, they are now the government.
They are executing a pirate. Yes, they are the government. That's what they see themselves as. They interfere in each other nation.
Right. Okay. So like
they're the Supreme Court, which is a terrible thing.
Just to be clear, Comstar are the actual bad guys of the Battletech.
They're all bad guys.
Yes.
Everyone's bad. But
no, but Comstar are the actual bad guys.
But there's like, what I'm saying is that like, meaningfully speaking, the Federated Sons is not a sovereign government. Neither are the Draconis Combine. Neither are any of them. If Comstar can just unilaterally come in, exert jurisdiction, and abuse their sovereignty to kill their nobles.
You are not in the inner sphere.
So they wouldn't be able to do this in the inner sphere.
Correct.
Even if they like thought they could get away with it.
First off, it would be bad for their reputation to do it in the inner sphere. They more or less maintain a reputation as pacifists.
Got it.
But no one gets mad at killing pirates in the periphery.
Okay, so as far as everyone is concerned, within the inner sphere, which is the space that anyone cares about and knows about, Comstar does not act in this kind of judicial military fashion.
They do it secretly through their ROM intelligence agents. but
Got
they don't
it. Okay,
openly do it.
That makes way more sense. I'm just like,
And
I'm so
Rom would not
confused.
stop to hold a trial. They would just execute you and also blame it on somebody else in the process.
That makes way more sense. I was just very confused. Like, I thought that like principally like Comstar could just like show up to a planet and be like, we're taking your nobles now. Like they did something bad and we're gonna try them. And I was like, wait, how can that work?
No.
Nope.
This makes way more sense now. Okay.
If you'll recall, back during the last war, Comstar showed up with like humanitarian convoys, but it sent them to both sides so they could maintain this
neutrality.
we're above both of you status.
Okay, cool.
Classic Comstar. Pay your phone bills.
Jesus.
Okay. Any other last minute questions, comments, concerns, thoughts?
Yeah.
It's been an episode.
It has been.
It started with barrel rolls and it ended with terrorism.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens.
I mean, it's going to be curious whether you're summarily thrown out an airlock or not.
Yeah.
Hope you have a good legal counsel.
I think
strong negotiating position.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely gonna have to be some conversation about how we can handle or how we can counter this in some way, shape, or form.
Well, the biggest problem is that you're guilty. So
yeah, but guilty of what?
Piracy.
Oh,
You're
gosh.
like, yeah, but what is piracy? I guess I better have a legal definition of piracy.
Look, I have we have already made reference to torrent, which technically is a form of piracy. So everyone here in some shape or form has potentially, I'm not saying that everyone has.
I mean, look, ultimately, I feel like what we've already resolved is like, this is all a farce anyway. So like,
Yes.
the legal definition of piracy is totally irrelevant. If they want you
That's
dead,
true.
you're dead. Like they're
true.
just making the rules as they go here.
That is also very
Anyway.
fair. So I mean, I think the maybe one of the ways out is to make ourselves more valuable to them than alive than dead.
Oh, sorry. I called them the Explorators, but it's technically called the Comstar Explorer Service.
I
don't want
It was close. It was
Yeah.
close. Yeah, I think you went a little bit Warhammer 40k.
Yes, I did. I went Warhammer 40k. Right, that's it. We're done. We'll see you in a bit. It'll be a bit, friends.
Oh
Have
man.
a good time zone.